everyone. Today we're going to do a fun activity that's really good for stress relief. And you don't have to have any art experience at all. And you don't have to have any art materials that are special. You can use water, watercolor, food coloring, crayons, or oil pastel. And we're going to work on just simple shapes to get us started. And we'll be working on cardstock. But you could also work on like an oak tag material, something a little heavier and smooth. And these are just set up as cards. They come with their own envelopes. But you could also just use smaller pieces of paper and then cut out the shapes and glue them onto cards. So there's a couple of options. Feel free to stop the video at any time if you want to just check out some of the activities and play. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up my workspace. And I've got my paper right here. And I've got my oil pastels. But as I said, you can use crayons also. And I'm just going to look at all the colors for a minute and choose a couple that are my favorites just for fun. So this whole thing is just for fun, right? We're not making anything special, although you could if you wanted to. I'm going to go for some bright colors today. So there we go. And like I said, you can use crayons as well. So I'm just going to draw some geometric shapes just for fun. And you can draw shapes inside of shapes. You can change your colors and draw shapes around shapes. Or you can just have shapes be isolated, kind of hanging out over in the corners, or putting lines inside of shapes. That's always fun. And let's see, this one's a little flat. Oh, there we go. All right, you can fill in parts. You can draw squiggly lines from your shapes. So geometric shapes are just a great place to start. And you can go off the page. And you can go all the way around the page. And maybe there's some star shapes that you want to put in too. And this again, this is not premeditated. You can do this totally by just winging it, just having some fun. All right, so I got my shapes pretty much all filled up on the page. I'm gonna just put my colors away for a moment. And now we're gonna move into the phase of the paint. So you can use, this is a watercolor kit, which is just pan watercolors, but you can use even the kids' kits, the ones that are just like a couple of colors and a brush. Doesn't have to be this fancy. And so you can use this as a watercolor tool, or you can use, if you have the tube watercolors, these are also great. You can use these and get yourself a plate, just a regular plate to put your colors out on, or I have just a little piece of plexiglass, which is a great palette. And you can put, if you want, a piece of white paper underneath this, and it turns into a really nice palette, so you can see what colors you're working on. But this is just for demo. For right now, I'm going to use I'm going to use my my little kit here. So I've got my kit, I've got my water. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. And I've got my card. I'm going to push that up so everybody can see it. All right, so I'm going to take a medium-sized brush and wet it just a little bit. And then I'm going to go for some bright colors, just because it's one of those days when you need some bright colors. And I'm just going to put it right on my paper any way I want. Now, if you can't see, I'm going to hold this up to the camera. Wherever the brush went, the wax of the crayon is resisting it. So you get a nice effect. Let's try that again. I'm going to go for some cherry red here. So there we go. We've got another wash of color and resist where the crayon was. Now, if you want, you can get really, really wet with your paint and just mix up a batch of paint. You can even lay down some areas of just clear color, or actually just water. So I'm going to just lay these little patches of clear puddled water, and then I'm just going to float my color into the pool of water. And then you've got a nice, another kind of a cool effect. You can also just leave it. So see how the water is just kind of puddling in the pools? Now, if you don't like that, you can grab yourself a sponge or a piece of paper toweling and just lift it off. You can also just kind of go back in and use your brush to just smooth it out a little bit. All right, let's go for some more color here. So every place where you put the paint, if you put it on your, it's going to resist. So you can end up with this crazy, maybe I'm going overboard, but you get the idea. You can get a nice kind of sense of play with your color just by having some fun. So this will dry, and once it dries, you can go back into it with a Sharpie if you wanted to make some more defined lines, or even a magic marker if you wanted to go back in and create some punch or some highlighted areas. Sometimes a Sharpie is fun, so you can go back in and kind of emphasize an area, a line. But you want to make sure it's dry. Even just a little bit of dark line kind of helps to accentuate shapes. So there you have it. Now you have a card that once it dries, you can put it in the mail, and you don't have to use, these are matching sets, but you could cut some cardstock to match an envelope that's a a regular size number 10 envelope, so that you don't need to purchase these cardstocks. But just make sure that your paper's heavy enough so that you can watercolor and draw on top of it. So I hope you enjoy this activity. Have some fun. Let us know how it goes. Bye for now.